Welcome to another edition of the Lakers. Man, welcome to another edition of the Lakers Fast Break Spotlight on Lakerholics weekend. For Gerald Glassford, I'm Jamie Sweet. With me today is L. Rob, Laker Tom, and Michael H. We're here to discuss the recent troubles of the Lakers. It's not been the good start is behind us. It's well in the rearview mirror, like some carrion that we hit accidentally, and it's just down laying there in the road. And it's kind of been forgotten how hot the Lakers started because of how the last 12, 14 games have gone. Specifically on the road, the Lakers seem to struggle. We've had some good road games, but for the most part, if you look at the road splits for everyone, it's pretty bad, especially the role players. And I don't want to just talk about one game. I'd like to talk about everything pretty much since Thanksgiving. And there were early rumblings. I don't think this is true. There were early rumblings, and people, especially on the Lakerholics blog, and if you'd like to debate this further, in type, or you can film a YouTube video of yourself and post it. However you want to debate with us over at Lakerholics.com. One of our longtime members, Bubba, had mentioned that maybe that JJ was already losing the locker room, and I don't think that's the case personally. I think as long as LeBron and AD are on the same page with the coach, the rest of the team is going to fall in behind all those three, as is the natural order of things in sport. I am concerned, however, specifically. JSJ with we suck. I mean, right now, I do think there's a world where this specific team, without changes, can play better. I think we've seen this group of men play better defense under Coach Ham than we've seen them play under Coach Redick. And I have some thoughts on that personally. I'd like to start with Michael H. And just where are you at with the team right now? Give me. I want everybody to think of like two things that they'd like to see improve specifically, and two things that are actually going well. Because there are some things that we're doing well. It's not like it's an unmitigated disaster. We're scoring a little bit more efficient than we ever did under Darvin Ham, and I think that's a positive. Where we've regressed is on the other end of the court. Michael, what are your thoughts?
Okay, well, first of all, before I give my two things, I don't think we were as good as we looked early, and I don't think we're as bad as we've been looking lately.
I think that's fair.
Yeah, I think we're somewhere in between.
Yeah.
As far as what's going wrong, defense, of course, is the number one thing. We're switching everything. I was watching the post-game show afterwards with Big Game James was talking about switching everything, and he doesn't like that idea at all of just switching I can kind of see why they're doing it because they got guys that got to hide on defense. They got to hide. They got to hide LeBron now on defense. They got to hide Dalton on defense. I mean,
right.
The Miami.
Why everybody on defense, man?
No. Rui's been solid.
Rui's been solid. Gabe's been solid. AD's been elite.
Max Christie's been solid.
Mm-hmm.
He's starting to really round it into shape as far as the defender. I mean, his offense is still inconsistent, but defensively he's been pretty tough.
Okay.
I mean, that's the number one thing. The second thing I would like to see is on the offensive end. I'd like to see other guys get more involved.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm one. Poor Rui. He's probably wondering what the fuck do I have to do, to get more touches. I mean. I understand that he has missed one shot in the last each game in the last 3 games. So, that is a risk giving somebody that misses a shot a game another shot, right?
Right.
And he did only hit 19 straight twos in a row. So how can you trust giving him more shots? 45% from 3. And the thing that bothers me about it is guys are collapsing on LeBron. Rui's guy. Or AD. And he's sitting in there twiddling his thumbs in the corner, and you could say the same thing about Dalton. His guy has been collapsing.
Not as often,
but I know of at least a couple of a couple of things last night a couple of times last night where he was just sitting there, nobody 20 feet close to him, and everybody was. So those are the two things. Now, what was the other two things? You said two
What are
things.
two things you think are going well? I would say.
Okay. Okay. What's going well, I think, is
it could be one thing. One thing going.
Okay, the thing that is going well is a couple of guys are picking up their. Gabe's been starting to look more like the Miami guy over the last several games on the defensive end, and his offense is so-so.
Yeah.
And I think that offensively, I mean, we had a couple of real stinkers offensively.
Yeah.
But overall, we still score pretty well. I mean, and that was what kept us in the game last night because there was no defense being played by either team.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a shootout, and we have a puncher's chance in shootouts. We just don't have much of a chance in grind outs.
Right.
So okay, that's my takes.
On your question. L-Rob, what are your two pros, two cons?
Two pros. Boy, it's hard to find the pros.
I had the same feeling.
The pros since Thanksgiving. Well, let's just say the effort was there yesterday. It was good defensive.
Yeah.
So there was effort. I think the pros is the guys recognize that they have to take some accountability. The players recognize that. That's a good thing. Mm-hmm. They're not pointing the finger at the coach, or that they're not saying "woe is me" or anything. They're trying to take some accountability. So I think that's a good thing. It's a long season, so it was good to see Gabe actually shoot the ball yesterday.
Yep.
And with a little bit of confidence, he came off a pick and shot a 3-pointer. He had that one baseline late in the game where he pulled up.
Yeah.
So if we can get, you need to have guys who are a threat on the court. As good as he is defensively and as smart as he is, when he's not a threat at all, it just really hurts the team. So that's a positive seeing him.
Okay.
It's a positive to see Max starting to play with a little bit of confidence. So those are, I guess, I'll give us my positives. Negatives, turnovers.
Yeah.
I
so many.
don't understand for the life of me why you think when it's a 1-point game, 2-point game, they're laying the ball down in the backcourt, letting it roll for 3 seconds to get 3 seconds off the clock.
That's burned us twice now.
Yeah, twice is going to make a difference in the ball game. Yeah. I mean, if you're up by 10 points and it's a couple
3 more
minutes
seconds, the defense gets to set.
Yeah, and you want to, if it makes sense with 5 seconds run off, each time you get the ball, yes. But come on, people. If I'm JJ Redick, I walk in the locker room, you're banned from doing that. Period. If you do it, you're coming out the game. So, so that's my big thing. The Lakers OKC game, they played tough. That was winnable. They lost the turnover battle 17-9. Utah game was tougher than it should have been. They lost the turnover battle 15-5.
Yeah.
You take care of the basketball and you give yourself a chance to win. Yesterday they did a decent job. Only had 13 turnovers, but the ones they did were, at crucial times. So,
one fact about the turnovers: we are one of the top teams in taking care of the ball, and we are one of the worst teams in points off of turnovers because we make such stupid turnovers.
They all lead to baskets. I know. Those are some good ones, L-Rob. We bring it now to the birthday boy, Laker Tom.
Happy birthday, Tom.
managed to be on this planet from 1944 until now. That's
It's amazing that I've lasted this long.
I mean, hey, we're happy to have you. We're happy to have you and your incredible mind and your wonderful personality and those sunglasses and those mini cokes. Some people think that Tom and I don't get along for whatever reason. We get along great. We just have completely different opinions about basketball and how you win basketball games. No, I mean, sometimes we share opinions, but usually
Actually, we probably agree in 90% of the stuff.
Yeah, exactly. It's just the things
But that 10% that we don't agree.
Yeah, we do it to death. Anyway, so happy birthday, Tom. Give me two pros and two cons.
I think my biggest con that I have so far is that despite all of the support that LeBron and AD have given and blame that they've accepted, and a good portion of it has been on the two of them, they have, I mean, this is a real Jekyll and Hyde situation, because one of my pros is that LeBron James and Anthony Davis are both healthy and capable of being championship players. My biggest con is that if there are two players who are responsible for such a lack of discipline on the court and a lack of intelligent plays at clutch moments that are perfect examples of how not to, they have put JJ Redick in a situation where he almost cannot come down on people because he'd have to sit everybody in the goddamn team down. And it's because of the leadership of LeBron and AD that LeBron, I mean, thank God he's not, I mean, it's a pro. He's not washed. But boy, we're going to have a lot of games, a few more games like we've seen a couple of these games happen at various points in time when he's back to back, when he's got 5 games, 7 games, 5 games in 7 days in those situations.
Yeah.
So those two things are so crazy because how can you as a coach tell these guys to pay attention to detail when it's your superstars making bad passes and bad decisions at the end of the games that are killing you?
Yeah.
The other thing that just drives me crazy is, what's the purpose of a screen? You know, it's supposed to be to get rid of the player that you want to get rid of. And yet on the Lakers, I sit there and I watch these guys set a screen, and the goddamn ball handler, including LeBron James, doesn't even brush his man off on the screen.
Yeah.
They leave enough room so the guy can slide through.
Yeah, we don't have good screeners. That's
other teams, our guys get bumped and jagged and rubbed off the screener. I mean, it's just so it's like that, plus the failure to rebound, to put a body on somebody.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, these are AAU high school type things that you learn that these guys have just fucking ignored. So, you know, I'm hoping that these 5 days off that we get after the Sunday game and before we, you know, have to fly to Minnesota for a makeup game, which hopefully will be a revenge game, I'm hoping that the coaches can get some, and that AD and LeBron will start to play like champions, man. That's not championship play the way that they finish those games. We've lost 4 games because of our superstars' inability to make a goddamn free throw, to make a goddamn pass in, to get a tip and control it, and stupid things like that. And all during the game, we're seeing passes that I can't believe LeBron's trying to make. I mean, how can the greatest passer in the world throw some of these passes? It's not nothing to do with wash. It's just a lack of attention to detail. And what are we talking about, which is the main reason JJ Redick was brought in? Attention to detail, man.
Yeah. Well, LeBron has said many times that as long as his head is right, he can be an impactful player. And I think we're seeing his attention start to drift a little bit this season.
Yeah.
Do you have any positives at all, or that's it? You're
Well, that was my positive. My other positive. Here's my other positive.
Your other positive, I haven't heard one yet.
No, my positive are LeBron and AD are healthy and they can play like they can win a championship.
His positive was a little bit double-handed. It was a little two-sided.
Yeah.
But it's because it was contrasted with with a Jekyll and Hyde.
Yes.
I gave us 15 seconds of
the other thing goes to ownership and management. Because the problems this team is suffering is because of the roster construction and the lack of the front office and management having made a deal. Yeah. So now we're sitting here and we're looking at what I'm hoping for is, can we trade for like a guard who can really defend and shoot threes and a center who can maybe defend and shoot threes? And we could have a new starting lineup and we could take two of the guys that are in the starting lineup now and they would be great off the bench.
Right.
Can we do that, or are we going to prioritize with a healthy LeBron and AD? Are we going to prioritize when we only want to give up second-round picks? And the only guy we can get for second-round picks who's a 5 is Jonas. And we're going to go that direction, man?
I have some thoughts on the trade situation. I don't.
Well, real quick. Let me get my two pros and cons, and then we'll move.
Okay.
There's already some people talking about trades in the chat, so we'll get to trades here in a minute. One thing to remember about the trades before we even get it is that nothing's happening until December 15th. A lot of guys can't be traded until December 15th.
None of them would count. All of them that count can be traded now. Jonas is the only guy out there that we have any interest in that is limited to December 15th. Every other player on the Lakers list, Kessler, Williams, all those guys are available right now.
Tom, I'm not talking about other teams. I'm talking about Max Christie and his $8 million salary. His salary can't be traded until December 15th. Anyway.
He's not going to be traded.
Well, I hope he is.
He's like 4th or 5th on the list. It's D'Lo and Rui are going to go. And Jay.
We'll see. All right. So my two pros are, I do like the direction the offense has moved in under Coach Redick. Overall, across all, what are we, about 20 games in now, right? We're about 20 games in. And I generally reserve judgment till after 20 games. I try not to make just a knee-jerk reaction, game 5, game 7, game 12. 20 games is a quarter of the season, roughly. It's a good place to take stock of where you're at. You still have some time before the trading deadline that you can make some in-team adjustments and see if those pan out. You're seeing that with the Golden State Warriors right now. The Lakers have done some similar things in terms of tweaking the starting lineup and who comes off the bench and who plays with who, and like trying to pair D'Lo and AD and, things like that. Those are all acceptable things in the first 20, 25 games. Once you hit 25 games, I think you really need to make you know what you've got. You know what you've got in 25 games. And what it looks like is that we have basically what we had last season. Different coach, same results, slight stylistic differences in on-court play on both ends.
Same guys hurt.
Huh?
Same guys hurt.
No, we got Vincent. My thought is like, is Taurean Prince such a defensive Swiss Army knife that he somehow managed to like vault this team like 6-hole spots, 7-hole spots, depending on the day into a.
No, he's brought down the Bucks the same way he brought down the Lakers.
So that makes me think that for all of the static Darvingham dealt with from the media, from the fans, from the stars on his team, he was a pretty good defensive coach. And where he needed to grow and where maybe needed time to grow was on the offensive end. That ship has sailed. We're not going to debate that any further, and it's unfortunate. But whatever, the ship has sailed, and much luck to him. He is not doing anything with the Milwaukee Bucks defense and Taurean Prince. So, who knows? And it might have just been, everybody was a year younger. Who knows? I don't know. I'm not privy to a lot of the information, but I have liked the way we're scoring the basketball under Coach Redick. It feels more modern. We'll get to why it's not working so well now, or why it's not quite as effective now in a little bit. But my other pro is kind of tied to Tom's. LeBron and AD are healthy. They're banged up like anybody is this time of year, and they're just going to get more banged up. Everybody's just going to get more banged up the more they play. LeBron is on track to play in all 82 games for maybe the first time in his career, first or second time in his career. He generally doesn't play all 82. And I consider that to be a positive. I think it's a positive for the fans who want to come see him play in whatever arena you happen to be in. I think it's a positive for his legacy to show that somebody at his age, with his usage, with his responsibility to making the team win, can do it. I think that that's a great story for modern sport. Whether it helps us win or lose is a debatable question, but I think overall it's a positive. And it's what you would want to see from your second highest paid player. You want to see him play a lot. You want to see him on the court. You want to see him contributing in the way that he does and can. The negatives of the defense. The defense started bad and has gotten worse. We're, I think, still last in transition, giving up transition buckets. We're one of the last in giving up points off of turnovers because of some of the things some of the other panel members have said today. The turnovers are just idiotic. Idiotic is the only TV or YouTube friendly word that comes to mind. I think in LeBron's case, it is a matter of, I used to be able to do this, and his brain and his body have not found a synchronicity yet in terms of the brain realizing that the body just isn't getting the lift to get that pass over the defender, isn't the step further that he needs to get the angle right. He's behind the play a lot in these passes, or he's trying to bail himself out because he's driven too far and now he doesn't have the lift, doesn't want to jump into somebody, doesn't want the contact. Those are where the age factor, I think, comes into play more than anything, is when he is off guard or off his balance in the paint. He is going to keep himself from falling or stepping on somebody at all costs, because that, I think he knows the next major injury he suffers is that that's it, right? He's not, if he blows a knee, blows an Achilles, really tears an ankle up, something drastic like that, I don't know that that's
you don't come back at this point from that.
He doesn't. Why would he? Why would you go through months and months and months of rehab to be a shell of even more of a shell of yourself for a team that's at that point probably out of the plan, right? I don't see it happening. I don't see it happening. Does he spend a whole year rehabbing and try to come back strong for one more year? Maybe. But then you're still in the same boat. Here's a guy who is as much trying to protect his body as he is trying to make the play. And I think that if you really watch LeBron with an open mind and not being I'm not being judgmental about it. I would have done it at 25. I would have done it. I would never get to where LeBron's gotten to, and there's a reason for that. So that's not to begrudge a guy coming up on 40. I think he turns 40 in like a week and a half, 2 weeks, right? Something like that. So that's
December 30th.
Right. So, okay, like 3 weeks. So 3 weeks and change. My point is that and this is, I guess, another double-handed pro and con. Though he is healthy, he isn't what he was. And the problem is that the Lakers as a team aren't picking him up. And that's my biggest gripe right now, is the role players. And I understand what you're saying, Tom, that your leaders need to lead and they need to be the sterling examples. And you're right about that. But I was looking at everybody's stats this morning before the podcast, because I was just curious. Every meaningful role player's field goal attempts are down from last season. Rui's are down by 2 shots. D'Lo's are down to a career low. He is shooting a career low in field goal attempts. Dalton Connect's first year, he's out the window. Austin isn't playing right now. I didn't look at his stats. I'll bet he's right about in his wheelhouse because he has the ball all the time and he can get his shot when he wants to get his shot. And I didn't look at Gabe's because Gabe didn't play last season. So whatever he did as a Laker last season, it doesn't matter. He didn't play. There wasn't enough of a sample size for me to consider it worthy. But Rui, who's been a Laker for several seasons, D'Lo, who's been both those guys, all of their field goal attempts from wherever you measure it, 2s, 3s, whatever, they are down. Their other numbers are right where they are career-wise. So we're not getting anything more that isn't scoring out of these guys than we ever have. And they're not scoring the way we came to count on them under Coach Ham, under Coach Redick, which is curious to me. That's when I wasn't expecting to see that. I was expecting to either see more shots and more misses, or more shots, more makes, or something about what we saw last season. But to see everybody down at least 2 field goal attempts per game, and then as a result 2 makes per game, was to me a little bit jarring. And that tells me that and this is when I started thinking about it, I think, and I'm going to pay more attention to it going forward, but I think that the defense is happy to let LeBron and AD try to beat us. I think they know that if they can shut down 2 or 3 other guys on the court when LeBron and AD are on the court, they have a great chance to win a basketball game. Somebody might get hot. Dalton might hit 7 of 9 threes, right? D'Lo might get hot and hit 6 of 8 threes. Those are the outlier games. Those are not the consistent games, right? So if that's the strategy, then it's on the staff now to figure out how to reactivate the role players on the team. They need to enable the role players on the team. The other thing I haven't liked is how we have steadily watched this team get less and less physical. And this has been brought up on the point of screens and offensive rebounding. We started the first 4 or 5 games setting hard screens on defense, getting up onto guys. And we were taking the fouls, and we were okay with it. I don't know if it's the road trips. We've had 2 long road trips already to start the season. One was 4 games and 6 nights, and this was 6 games and 9 nights, I want to say. Maybe 8 nights. I could be wrong. I think it's 9, though. That's a lot of travel. That's a lot of being on the road, and we're not even a third of the way through the season. And we have more home games left than road games. We have fewer road games left than I think every other team in the league, except maybe New York. I can't remember. I was looking at it, and I kind of stopped halfway through. Regardless of how that works out, we have more home games ahead of us than road games, and that's good because our road splits are terrible. But and the last thing I want to agree with on is, Michael, I think you're right on the switch everything. I don't have a problem with switch everything. I don't have a problem with any defensive scheme as long as it's not the only thing you do. I think NBA teams are
every scheme doesn't work every situation.
This is my point. And like when people would say like, well, this has to be like our identity. I'm like, no, you have to have your defensive identity needs to be based on your level of comfort and being physical. If you do not have if you're not going to get into guys, if you're not going to bang with guys, if you're not going to push and hold and scrape and like do unto them as they are doing unto you, you're going to get beat up. And the refs aren't going to bail you out. You need to make the ref bail you out by escalating the contact. And once that happens, if there's a kerfuffle on the court, or if somebody gets a technical or flagrant, well, that's why those types of fouls and rules are in place. And that's on the refs to control that. It's not on you. You play as hard as you can. You play as physically as you can until the referees start to stop you. And we don't do that. We are a soft team.
The refs are letting more things go this year than I've seen in years. I mean, the league is much more physical this year, and we're not stepping up with the rest of the league, it seems like.
No, we're waiting. We're looking for superstar calls, and superstar calls aren't happening. And if you watched the WNBA last season, you saw that trend happen. I have not seen the WNBA let as much like physical play go as I did last season, and it was great. It made the league more competitive. It added a lot of fire to the ladies got fired up because they're getting pushed and knocked down, and they think a foul should be called and all this sort of stuff. But like, this is the issue. This is the defining issue of this season right now. Can the Lakers rise to the challenge physically? So those are my pros and cons. They're pretty much the same pros and cons I have with the Lakers every year, which is I want to see us defend better. I want to see us rebound better. And we haven't been a good rebounding team since the waning Phil Jackson years. We just haven't. We were a pretty good rebounding team under Vogel, actually. I take that back. But other than that, we haven't been a great rebounding team. We haven't been a very physical team. And I don't know if that's because, people see LeBron not laying into guys. And I get it. There has to be LeBron rules at this point, right? Like LeBron's old, man. He's old to be playing the way, and he's playing amazing for the age that he is. But he's not going to.
Is he playing amazing? Because I'm looking at the plus minus for the season.
Yeah.
Do you know who's 15th on the Lakers in plus minus?
It's going to be LeBron because he's on the court all the time.
He's 129 points negative.
I understand.
Max Christie is 83 points negative. Cam Reddish 59 negative. Anthony Davis 12th at 51 negative. You have 180 points negative between LeBron and AD.
Yeah.
And neither one of them are in the top 10 in the Lakers.
Yeah.
Now, when I talk about a Jekyll and Hyde season, Jesus, look at that.
That is sobering, and I hadn't looked at that.
I mean,
Yeah.
there's also the thing that there is no longer any 3-man lineup in the Lakers with LeBron and AD that is positive. That's not the role players not coming through.
I think it's a little bit of both. I think
That's the two superstars taking more shots, making critical errors, being responsible for most of the turnovers on the team. It's just so astonishing. I just don't understand. I don't understand what's happened with the two of them and the mesh between the whole team. It's just crazy that they could. How can LeBron end up being? How can he end up being the guy who's?
Well,
That's
Rob,
crazy, man.
What do you think, Rob?
Our problem before was we couldn't
Rob.
win when LeBron was off of the court. Our problem now is we can't win when LeBron and AD are on the court.
Yeah. So,
Jeez.
part of
If that doesn't scream,
Hey.
Al Rob's been trying to talk, Tom.
Stop yelling.
Yeah. So part of, I mean, when you got a 4-point differential, everybody's gonna have bad plus minus because the team is a bad plus minus team.
Yeah, but relatively, you
Tom,
expect
I understand. I understand.
Let him talk.
Tom, I understand. Part of what I was told JJ would do would he would take the ball away from LeBron, and that hasn't been the case nearly enough. So, at some point, he is going to have to protect LeBron from himself because LeBron is playing. He played all summer. I didn't like it.
No, it's definitely it's definitely both of them playing all year.
I think that's part of why they came in. Everything was great, and then after a while, it catches up to you.
Yeah,
and that's why you've seen AD going out and the Jekyll and Hyde where he's scoring under not even in double digits. Right. To get back to and the whole thing about making AD more of an offensive player. AD has a limited or he's got a certain amount of energy that he can exert. So if you are asking him to go in there and bang and score and do all of that, that means that's going to come away from the defensive end. So what's the difference in the team? The team is better offensively. AD is getting more touches. They get better shots. Of course, you add somebody like Dalton Connect. That's a better, offensive player. But that's gonna hurt the defense. Darvin Ham philosophy was they wanted to play better defense, and he wanted AD to try to dominate on defense. And JJ wants him to try to dominate on the offense. You pick your poison because AD he's not Superman. He can't do all of that, folks.
And he's our only two-way player left that we have, man.
Yeah, he is the best one for sure. So he's got to take LeBron off. LeBron will not play 82 games. Yeah. We can forget that. He's going to have to sit some of these games. And he's going to
hard to tell LeBron to sit though.
I was going to say you tell him to sit, Rob.
Right. He's the coach. He's going to have to tell him to sit.
I know you're right.
Or okay, if you want to play, you go play. But I'm only going to play you 25 minutes, or I'm only going to play you 28 minutes. Right. Because we have seen the Lakers play better when LeBron's on the bench. Some of those stretches.
It's true, and you did. And Tom's right. Tom's right. That the problem has switched.
They got to get the ball in when AR comes back. Give the ball to Reeves. Let him handle the ball. D'Lo, put the ball in D'Lo hands more. And
that's maybe my biggest disappointment is D'Lo.
They still come down and they jack 30-footers up.
I know. Well, that's the modern NBA as much as anything.
I know, but still, run a play, guys.
I know. I've tried to. I can say this for myself only. I'm personally trying to be less annoyed with the volume of three-point shooting in the modern game. It's not going anywhere. It's like many things in our society. It's here to stay, whether we like it or not. And
they're shooting him from further back.
Yeah, it's a difference between Trey had a very good three-point shot. LeBron had a terrible three-point shot. There's a difference. If he's open and he's there, cool, shoot it, but not just come down and jack.
No. and like making the one-legged shot. All right, so I want to move on from this a little bit. So one of the things, and El Rob kind of segued into my point. So AD was supposed to be the hub of the offense. We saw the Lakers dominant scoring inside for the majority of the first half or the first bit of the season here.
When we didn't play teams with two centers, or
well,
with a
and I think teams are making a concerted effort to pack the paint and let us shoot mid-range jump shots. Because if you go back and look at AD's shot profile by game, he is steadily moving further and further out from the paint, and he's taking not as many threes as you would think that he's taking more 15, 20-footer step-back jumpers. Michael, what are your thoughts on how the Lakers can get ourselves back into our identity and being a dominant inside paint scoring team? Is it just because Reeves is out? Is it something to do with AD's plantar fasciitis? Is it that we've been scouted? What do you think?
I think it's a combination of everything you just mentioned. When you look at, first of all, with Reeves out, Reeves is our best paint penetrator. I mean, for as far as assists go, I mean, D'Lo will get in there, but he's usually looking for his floater or a lob pass. Austin, he looks around everywhere, and I think that's hurt us. I think AD's foot is an issue. I mean, it's not keeping him out of games, but I think it does impact him.
It's kind of like LeBron's age.
Yeah, and so I mean those are two big things. And the other thing is we are getting scouted, and this is what I posted this on the blog. We have not been adjusting to the adjustments other teams have been making.
No, not yet.
And that's an issue. I mean, you have to adjust when other teams adjust. I mean, you look at Dalton, he goes off for a few games. Teams have adjusted to that, and we haven't made counter adjustments to get him more shots, more looks.
Yeah, AD's getting doubled, and they're really sticking with Dalton. They got gravity. He's got a gravity now, so they got a guy on him all the time in the corner.
One thing about Dalton that he has one element that he still has to develop to make him, put him up high in dangerous 3-point shooters. He has to develop a 3-point shot off the dribble. He has to improve his handle a little bit, and because he's really good at catch and shoot, and he's a good motion guy coming off of a screen, but you get the ball in his hands, and instead of looking to try and create a 3-point shot for himself, he passes it. He's
become hesitant. He's become hesitant now.
He needs to develop
bad shooting streak.
He needs to develop a 3-point shot off the bounce if he's going to be really an elite 3-point shooter.
I think that's fair. I listen. I have high hopes for Dalton Connect. I think he's got a lot of untapped potential. I think he's more than just a shooter. I think because of his size and his build, he can be a little bit more. And to this day, I understand the analytics of the game have influenced the way the game is played. But to this day, I still don't understand why the post-up game has been as maligned as it is, because it's an easy way to generate baskets. And if you're shooting hot from the outside, bomb away, let it fly. Don't hesitate, catch and shoot. As Michael's saying, developing off the bounce, all of that works for me. But when it's not working, or if you hit a rough spatch, or if you're seeing that like, oh, this guy's getting doubled, they're leaving this guy, at least a guy and a half to shade the other shooter. Let's run a post play on the other side of the play for Hachimura. Let's run a post play for AD or LeBron, and let them run a 2-man game closer to the basket, and slow the game down. I think we're still playing too fast in the half court and too slow in transition, and so we need to maybe start to tweak that a little bit and find more balance. I thought that there was 3 or 4 games of wonderful balance across the lineups, And it happened to coincide with like a 4 or 5 game homestand, I want to say, and that might have had something to do with it because all of our guys play a lot better at home, especially Dalton. And sorry, my kid's in the bath, so if you hear like weird noises, it's my daughter having a wonderful time in the tub. And Gerald, I'm sorry if this is throughout the podcast, but there we go. That's how it is at Casa Dolce, baby.
It's life.
Huh?
It's life.
It's light. Okay, good. Yeah, she's just blowing bubbles. She's just having a fun time with the tubby. Anyway, I think that we need to remember that we don't have great two-way players. Tom's right. We really only have one, and his name is Anthony Davis. And so once you kind of factor that in, you really need to. You can't play Russell, Connect, Max, and Rui and LeBron. You need to put Cam out there with one of those guys needs to sit in favor of Cam Reddish because Cam Reddish is really your second best defender at this point.
We got nobody that basically is making consistently good decisions all the time, including LeBron and AD.
Yeah, I would agree with that 100%.
It's so crazy that these errors happening when a pass from LeBron to AD is just mind-boggling, man.
I mean, I think some of it is they haven't adjusted to the physicality that's being allowed. I think there's a lot of adjustments on coach and player side that hopefully we kind of that we see coming out of this nice break we got coming up after Sunday. I think that's a great time to like get home.
Yeah.
Take a day off, go home, relax, have a day with the family.
One other point that just popped into my head too.
Yeah.
A lot of these teams that are beating us has been running the same system for years now.
Yeah.
We got to keep in mind this is a new system for this team.
I know.
And you can't expect 3 years of 3 years of system type of play after 20 some games.
Listen, this is my biggest gripe about firing him. I would have rather seen us hire an elite offensive coordinator for Darvin Ham because I thought that everything else about the team. I see Tom shaking his head, and that's fine. Feel free to disagree. Whatever. This is one of the many things we disagree on, and we will disagree.
I can even laugh at this one because it's so hilarious.
Whatever. I mean, you can't argue that the defense is better under Reddick.
Yeah, just keep supporting Darvin.
I'm not supporting Darvin. He's gone. I'm just saying that there's no support for Darvin. It's simply
right.
Well, my point is
that on that ham sandwich all you want, man.
We haven't had coaching continuity since Phil.
Yeah.
And that's harsh.
It's harsh. And it's true. It's absolutely true. All right. So now we move to Tom's favorite portion of every podcast. How do we trade our way out of this mess?
We don't.
I don't know that we can. I'll tell you what. I'll tell you my take, and then we'll come back to. We'll do me first, Michael, El Rob, and then Tom. We'll let you close it out because I know you have a lot of thoughts on this, and I don't want to have to interrupt you to let other people
but we
talk.
don't have 35 minutes left for Tom to close it out.
Oh, that's what I mean. I'm going to go fast. I'm of the opinion that Rob Pelinka is operating under some type of handicap, that he does not have the green light unless it's for a you just can't say no trade.
You're blaming Genie then, huh?
That,
you think Genie's
I don't even know. I'm just saying it might even be a self-imposed Rob Pelinka handicap. I don't know. I do know that if we don't
He's
make
scared
the plan,
of failing, man. That's just what it is. He's scared. He knows the next bad trade. If he pulls another Westbrook, he'll be gone.
Let's try to go with the pattern here. I'm going to come around you, and you can espouse all your theories. All right, whoever's imposing the handicap. If it's Rob, if it's Genie, if it's Rob and Genie, if it's the whole cabal that makes decisions and the Laker, mystic dungeon of reason where they decide things, I don't know. But the fact that we didn't burn a second rounder to move one of Reddish or Wood or Hayes this summer, the fact that Rob has said multiple times the same sort of vanilla statement, oh yeah, if the right deal comes along, we'll use those picks. The criteria for that has never been illuminated to us. We don't know what that criteria actually is. So one assumes the right deal has either never been approved or comes across the table, or he's fished it out there. Nobody wants to do it. We don't know about that. We may never know. I think we cannot stand pat, however. We have to move somebody or we have to trade AD, because every season you don't trade AD means you're getting less back for AD. And you're seeing that happen with a Zach LaVine. You're seeing that happen with you've seen it happen with Ben Simmons, who somehow still managed to get traded to a few teams from because he's just such a locker room cancer. And AD is not a locker room cancer. I think AD is a fantastic human being off the court. He seems like a nice guy in interviews. I think that he generally would like to stay a Laker. I would like to see him stay a Laker, but at the same time, there comes a point where this is not forever sustainable. And so my question to you guys is this the season where the Lakers even entertain AD, trading AD? I honestly don't think it is, but if it were my job, if it were me doing it, I would
Never trade
have it on. I would have it on the board. I would have it as we could do this. Nobody's off the table in my mind, because this is going to be our third season in a row under two different coaches of, well, maybe we're a play-in team. And that's just not acceptable. It's just not acceptable. And so, Michael, we'll start with you. What are your thoughts on a trade scenario for the Lakers? Can we trade our way out of this?
First of all, I kind of disagree with this. Yeah, that Rob's not, wanting to do something. If you're following the league and you go to Bleacher Report any given day, and there's 6 or 7 teams where the writers are talking about this team needs to make a trade. There's no trades being made right now because the perceived sellers aren't motivated to sell yet. Okay. They're not motivated to sell yet. They're holding on to their assets because they're looking at this point still in the season. They're still looking to try to get top dollar. I don't subscribe to overpaying for players simply because we don't have enough assets to be able to afford to overpay for anybody. Now there's things that are coming up that might motivate. I mean, Utah's doing a splendid job of tanking, so they're not in a hurry to move any of their assets yet. They're waiting to see what they can get. A team that might be motivated soon is the Nets. They came into the season wanting to tank, right? They gave up talent. They got a whole bunch of draft picks. They got their draft pick back. And lo and behold, they're sitting 8th. And that was not the plan. So I think they can't afford to keep winning like they've been winning, because it's going to blow their whole strategy, And there are players on the Nets that help us. I mean, we could get for D'Lo, Gabe, and Cam, we could get Dennis, Finney Smith, and that forward Sharp, the guy's 265 pounds, got 6.5 boards in 15 minutes a game last year. 2.5 were out. I mean, he's a beast on the boards, solid defender, good backup. Now the question is, and all those guys, when you individually probably won't get a first rounder. So maybe if you second rounders and throw in a first, you might be able to swing something like that. But the other thing with trades is, and I'm sure the Lakers are gauging this, will any trade give us, a shot at a ring? And if the answer is probably not, they might be hesitant to give up some, trade assets to make a deal that they don't feel is really going to, that Nets trade, I think that would really help us, give us maybe a puncher's chance. But you look at some of the top teams around the league, and I don't see a real trade that's going to make us any better than maybe a non-play-in team.
I don't know. I kind of disagree with that. I think that there are definitely some players we could bring in, and I think Schroeder is one of them. I think having Schroeder over Vincent would be, or even Schroeder and Vincent for D'Lo would just be a massive upgrade to the backcourt. I can't understate that. And I know that Schroeder's kind of got carte blanche right now and has the ball in his hands a lot, and it might not be the same role on this team, but we've seen him play well on this team with LeBron and AD, and I don't see any reason why that wouldn't continue. Rob, your thoughts?
So I'm not really actively following when I see articles about, and it seems like that's all is 50% of the articles are proposing trades that come out. And I just really don't really read up on those. So I'm really curious to hear on who we can get. And then I can maybe give some feedback because I'm not really, that's not my area of expertise. I will say that based upon the guys we have on this team, that if Vando's playing, if Hayes is healthy, I know those are big ifs. But if these guys, Hayes haven't played half the season, Vando hasn't played at all.
Yeah,
That's a drastic difference in your makeup of your team. Suddenly, these are two of your most athletic guys.
That's a good point.
You're not moving in mud. You're not looking like you're in quicksand if you got those two guys out there. It's two of your rotation guys. So, I know it's a cop out. People don't like to hear, but hey, and I think this team can be competitive and can be a threat if they have both of those guys, in there. I mean, to not have a big guy to come to be able to put in, and you have to play LeBron at the 5 last night. That's not good. It's really good. But
you also let's not forget about Wood. He played really well with AD last year.
So Wood's missing too.
He can shoot and he can rebound. He's a good rebounder. We forget about his. He's a very good rebounder.
Yeah, just defensive is. I don't know if the team can get worse defensively, but if it can with him in there, it will be. But yeah, Dennis definitely would be an upgrade if Dennis is available and they can get him. That would definitely be an upgrade. So, but I'm going to see most of my time to time because I want to hear. He said we need a guard who can shoot the three and defend, and a big guy that can shoot the three and defend. So I'm curious on who those guys are going to be.
I just want to say one thing about the injuries. I mean, Vando's been out for almost basically 2 years now, and I'm a huge Vando fan. I believe in the guy. I really want to see him succeed as a Laker. Like I really, really do. And I, even myself, I'm starting to be like, I don't know if this guy's gonna. If he does come back, to what? Like, what do we got? What are we looking at here? So, and like that's the same. Like you say, like, is there a better success story in the NBA right now than Lonzo Ball? Like, it's admirable to see what has to have been the most boring and painful journey to get back on the court. And sure, he's playing 4 minutes a quarter, 16 minutes a game, and that's it this season. I think I don't see them going much past 20. And that's to protect the player, and I think that's smart. And I don't know if he's going to even try to come back to the league after this. He might just be like, I've made enough money. I want to hang out with my kids. I don't want something bad to happen where maybe I can't walk right.
It became that kind of an issue for Lonzo.
It could be, right?
It was really an issue about, will I be able to have a normal life after basketball?
There was a great article on ESPN about
I read that whole article. I was
I was truly and I've always liked all the baby Lakers. I like to see the baby Lakers succeed. Yeah. I thought that Lonzo, of all of them, was put behind the biggest 8-ball when Magic had that introduction news conference and was like, your jersey's going to be up there next to mine. I'm like, bro, this guy is like 18. leave him alone, man. Like, I understand.
Between that and his dad, geez.
At any rate, so let's buckle up, bloggers. Tom's got some ideas. Let's see what you got, Tom. I'm happy to entertain your wildest notions.
It's Rob Pelinka just really needs to make a move this summer, and this off season or this trade deadline thing. For me, it all comes down to what kind of move he makes. Because the moves that we keep hearing about are for players that aren't going to take a first-round pick.
Yeah.
And why that's so frustrating to me is because unless the Lakers find a situation where they can leverage their relationship with Clutch Sports like they did with Anthony Davis, and there are some possible situations of that happening now because De'Aaron Fox has signed with Clutch, and we know that Trae Young is a Clutch client. But here's the issue, though, that the Lakers don't want to give up that first-round pick because they somehow think that there's a point where they're going to need those picks to replace LeBron. And the problem with that logic is there are 5 other teams that control 62 of the first round picks in the next 7 drafts.
That's an
The Lakers are not going to out
that Tom. I have not heard that before. That is an interesting.
The Lakers. These 5 teams, they have 62 picks in the next 7 drafts.
So wait, it's OKC, Utah. Who else?
OKC, Utah, New Orleans.
Yeah.
Houston. I think Houston's in there too. At any rate,
the Nets are there now.
You're not going to outbid these guys with you can't even put enough swaps in there to get close to them.
Right.
So, and then what? Maybe if LeBron retires next year, if LeBron does his tour next year and then retires the following year, we have his salary to replace. But we also have we also have AD's salary in there, so it's going to be hard to get free agency money.
Who is these shooters, guards that can go both ways? And these
we need 2 things right now. First off,
Rob wants to hear you.
We need players who can start.
Who? Names.
Robert Williams. Walker Kessler.
I like Walker Kessler.
Miles Turner.
He's gettable.
He's gettable because of the situation that they're in salary wise.
Yeah.
Brook Lopez.
He's not going anywhere.
There's 5 starters at center. How about point guard?
Yeah. I mean, one of them is a 3-point shooter.
Yeah, one of them is a 3-point shooter.
2 of them, Miles Turner and Brook.
Point guard, you got Marcus Smart.
Not a 3-point shooter.
He's a 33% 3-point shooter.
32%. I don't want him shooting.
Doesn't matter. You need to. If you want Dalton, let me finish. If you want Dalton Connect to be your 2 guard, you got to have a good 1 guard defensively.
Other panelists, if we like it, let's just do thumbs up. If we don't like it, let's just do thumbs down. Just to move it along.
I would, if I could get Lonzo Ball for a 2nd round pick, I'd give out money to get him on the lineup. Dennis Schroeder for sure. Dennis Schroeder has played terrific in the Olympics. He was just sensational for Germany, and he continued that play already.
Yes.
There's a guy in Portland. He's a 2-time. He's only playing about 10, 15, 20 minutes a game.
Simmons?
No. But he's a guy I'd go after on Portland as well. But God, I can't even think of the guy's name. That's what happens when you get to be 80. All of those names that were instantly available to you. Thank God you got an iPhone next to you or the web to look at them. But we basically need 2 players into the starting lineup. And we have the assets to do that. We have 2 first-round picks that, if made unprotected, are post-LeBron James picks. We have 2 pick swaps that we could give out. We have 3 second-round picks we could trade. We have $52.5 million in tradable contracts, including almost $30 million in expiring contracts.
Thank you, Darren.
The problem is that the Lakers have never offered these unprotected picks. They never even offered the first-round picks for most of the talk because they want to get by. They want to hold these picks in some future dream that's what they'll replace LeBron James for.
Well, I mean, I think that listen, if I hear what you're saying.
Think of what Williams and Smart would do for the Lakers. That's exactly what Boston did. They took a chance on an injured Porzingis and an old Drew Holiday.
Yeah, but Drew Holiday's underrated. And Porzingis
is definitely underrated, but man, that was the right play. They went for the right 2 players to turn them into a championship team where everybody was a 2-way player and everybody shot the 3.
I see your point.
We need to copy what the Celtics did.
I would, if in a perfect world, I would prefer Schroeder over Smart. There's 3 players I prefer.
Give me Schroeder and Kessler. Schroeder and Kessler would be great.
I don't know that you can get a player away from Utah for less than 2 first-round picks, and I don't care if it's the ball. I think Danny Ainge is happy to just let it ride. He's not giving anybody away for what he considers to be less than a steal. And that is how he has been operating.
Especially not to the Lakers.
Definitely.
Well, the tough thing for him, the tough thing for the Lakers is he traded. It's that 27 pick.
I know.
They don't want to help us because if they help us, that hurts the value of their 27 pick.
That's right. So this is why
the only way you can overcome that is you give them the 28 swap, you take off the protection for the 27, you give them the 28 swap, and you give them the 29 pick. Then they got 3 years in a row.
For Walker Kessler. That's too much for Walker Kessler. I would take the
Kessler, you get Kessler and you bring along the guy you probably take is not Jordan, but the other guy.
They're not getting rid of the other guy.
They are. They want to get rid of the other guy.
Sexton.
They want to get rid of Sexton. It's fine. He's shooting 40% from three.
I don't think
he's got speed. We need speed. One of our problems is we are so slow because LeBron is never among the first people back, even though he could
slow
be.
In transition.
AD is on the ground at the start of every play.
Or under the basket. Right? Like trying to rebound, trying to score, that's the theory. All right. So we're hitting our hour. I would like to kind of wrap this up in a meaningful way. I will just say that I think that the Lakers have to make a move. I don't think, because of our cap situation, you can't just let D'Lo's money expire because so much of it just goes away.
Yep.
You don't get his full deal back because of how the salary cap works. You get, I think, only 12-ish mil back, if I remember right. I could be wrong on that, and if somebody wants to double check my math, please feel free. But a lot of his salary, at least a third of it, just goes into, and now you're back under the cap.
All you get is the MLE for it. You get enough money to utilize the MLE,
and we get the biannual next year, if that's even still a thing. I can't remember if that's even still a thing.
Yeah, but again, we need to get rid of salary to get it. That's why you get rid of his $18 million.
Well,
you let it walk for that purpose.
Well, but by that logic, then it's almost better to let it expire.
Yeah.
So, but we're getting rid of salary next season. We're going to decline JHS's option unless we're insane.
It already has been declined.
Right. So he's thank you, Michael. Good call. So
Lewis is not guaranteed.
JHS is gone. Wood, Hayes, Reddish, all that minimum final year of their options, they're gone. So we will be shedding some salary. There's another guy who's done after this year. It might be Vincent. No, I think Vincent has one more season left on his biannual. Or maybe I can't remember what we used.
He had a 3-year deal, so there's one more year left.
He had a 3-year deal.
You got Christie, and you got the rookie Connect, and you got
LeBron, AD, all stand, Vando,
and Ronnie.
And that's
James.
And, well, whatever. I mean, listen, Maxwell Lewis and Bronny James are in the same category for me. Like
Maxwell Lewis only has $250,000 guaranteed, so it's almost like he's off the books.
He's off the books. So we'll just say that all 4 of those guys are gone next season. That's only what, 8 mil, 9 mil, 10 mil. That's not a lot of money. I do think
it's LeBron's celebration season.
We'll see. And then with D'Lo, though, now you're looking at 28 mil. Now you were talking about an expiring salary alone. Problem being is the free agent class isn't great next season. It's not terrible. It's not great. There's a lot of guys for around.
But 15 million could be used for the MLE and the.
That's what I'm saying. There's a lot of guys for 15 mil you could get next summer that are definitely, in my opinion, upgrades over our current roster. And all you do is suffer through this terrible, terrible season of mediocrity again, and you come out the other side with some cap space and all your draft picks still. I don't know if that's smart.
That's dumb because you wasted an opportunity with 2 healthy superstars.
And I don't know that saves Rob Pelinka's job.
Keep one other thing in mind, though.
Yeah.
AD's salary goes up by 11 mil next year.
So
but the cap goes up 10%
yes,
too.
And also the cap goes up. Yeah, the cap's going up the maximum of 10%. So that's going to kind of offset one another. So we're still looking at like a 15 to 20 mil, right? And along with the spending tools that are allowed into that. So it's not like the Lakers won't have moves to make. I think that Tom, you brought up something that Rob Pelinka is and you put it a lot more succinctly in your post on Lakerholics.com where you said Rob needs to grow some cojones, and I couldn't agree more. I think that since the Westbrook trade, Rob Pelinka has become pretty gun shy, and he's become pretty slow to react. And it's cost us a lot.
He'll let anybody kill any deal it's what I feel a feeling. If anybody has an objection to the deal, it's not 100%. Then Rob's like, let's stay away.
To be fair, he pulled off the deal that got us D'Lo, Vando, Rui.
I'm just saying that I think that
imagine if that deal had been for the other point guard that was available and not for D'Lo, the older point guard who everybody thought was finished.
This is Blue Magic. Blue Magic had two nice things to say. One, Tom, he says you don't look a day over 60. And then he's also calling me out saying
that's a great compliment, because usually they say I don't look a day over 70.
You hear that, Blue Magic? Tom takes your compliment and appreciates it. But he's also saying that for my idea of standing pat is a huge risk. I'm not saying it's not a huge risk. I'm just saying that there are moves to be made that don't necessarily involve trades this season. I still to this day wish we had burned a second-round pick to move one of Wood, Hayes, Reddish this summer, just to open up
a roster spot.
Just to open up a roster spot. Because
we still need to open up a couple of roster spots.
Well, listen, we may or may not get there. Because the other thing I'm not understanding quite yet is why Olivari hasn't gotten any kind of run. It's like when we had I forget his name. There was a guy we had on the G League who was killing it in the G. Oh, well, Scottie Pippen Jr. comes to mind. It's like when we had Scottie Pippen Jr. and inexplicably we would not play Scottie Pippen Jr. And then he goes
who
on
has the second best plus minus on the team?
Right, and then he goes on, and then he goes to Memphis. Yeah, well, he
D'Lo are the only two guys with a positive plus minus on the Lakers.
That's so subjective to the reality of who else is on the court at the time. I only go by plus minus so much. What I do go by
is relative, though, because
the problem with the Lakers is that all season long they have been a minus point differential. We have given up more points than we've scored all season long. There are some games where we blow out the other team so much that it makes it close.
We were positive. We were positive 4 games ago, but then when you give up 3,
when you lose by 30 and 25, and, that disappears.
Your numbers really
crater.
We had like 6 guys that were positive then. Then all of a sudden, after those blowouts, there's only 2 guys left that are positive.
I personally don't think there will be any deals made till after Christmas, not just because the Lakers don't want to, but just because I don't think any team is really going to be looking to make a deal until after
Jonas. They'll trade for Jonas on the 15th.
Okay.
And that'll be it.
I mean, that would be great. I would be happy with Jonas.
Another slow center who can't get his ass over half court, hasn't blocked over 1 shot a game for 5 years, hasn't had more than a half a steal in 5 years, sure. and shoots a half a 3 every game.
That's fine. I'm just saying that to annoy you. He's not my top choice. He's like my 5th choice, but he is the most attainable.
It's like my 10th choice.
I know he is. Anyway, I would like to thank my panelists for the afternoon, morning, wherever you're at, whatever time it is. Time is the, as they say in Star Trek, time is the fire in which we burn. So I'd like to thank L. Rob, Michael H., and of course the birthday boy, Laker Tom, all the people on the chat. It's been a great chat this morning. Sorry I didn't post as many chats as I normally do. I'm listening to my daughter blow bubbles and drinking coffee, so whatever. And of course, all the people who make Lakerholics and Laker Fast Break possible. All the great bloggers over at Lakerholics.com. Come by Lakerholics.com. It's a great site. It might tell you to update Chrome. Just refresh the browser once. I think it's something that Nias built in there to remind people to keep Chrome up to date because it helps block hackers and stuff. I kind of wish that it wasn't there, but regardless, you can just refresh past it. It is not a spam thing. It's not somebody trying to sell you Chrome. You don't have to buy Chrome. It's just you to update Chrome, and you should update Chrome. Update your Chrome browsers, people. Don't be lazy. Click on the little 3 tabs, go to settings, scroll down, about Chrome, update, relaunch, get it done. And you'll be a better browser for it. And all of my panels today. And Gerald, thank you for putting up with all of our shenanigans on and off the court. And hopefully Sean Grice will join us next time. He was supposed to, I think, but I don't know what happened there. So Magic Man, if you're listening or you're out there,
Magic Man,
you're welcome to come by. And come by Lakerholics, man. No shame in that game. Everybody thinks you're pretty cool, so don't worry about it. So I'd like to thank everybody today. Have yourselves a wonderful weekend. Stay safe and go Lakers.
Aloha.